your ideas come from?
Exactly.
And if you're picking up whatever these creatures are and you've been blessed enough to get them, yeah, you should write them down.
Got to write them down.
It's kind of like, I mean, I don't like.
You got to honor them.
Honor them.
Right?
Yeah.
You got to act on them. I mean, that's why people that think of the muse, like the concept of the muse, that's one of the more, it's a productive way to think of it. Like Pressfield writes about it, and Pressfield in The War of Art, and he's a very down to earth. He's not a silly man. He's a very down to earth person. But his perspective on the concept of the muse it's very beneficial if you follow it, because his perspective is essentially that you pay honor to this thing. You show up and you do the work like a professional, and then it responds in turn. It comes to you.
Yeah.
And then these are what it's like. We think of an idea, even though it's one of the most important factors in the entire construction of civilization. But somehow or another, we don't think of it as that. We think of people being that. Yeah. And we are, but we're being used by ideas. I know that sounds crazy. I really do. I know it sounds dumb too. But you're coming up with these thoughts, and we're thinking of them as like random connections that you're making in your brain, which might be. It might be that. But it also might be that ideas are like a life form from another dimension that's trying to manifest itself in our current realm. And they do so through getting into people's heads. And the more you call for them, the more they're there for you. Yeah. And the more you show up. And you can call that the muse. You can call that whatever you want.
Angels.
Tesla believed it. Tesla believes he was getting signals from some other either some other planet or some other life forms. He had some weird shit that he wrote that's hard to decipher about what he. See if you can find that, because that's a very interesting thing, Jamie. See if you can find what did Tesla. Like, Tesla had a take on receiving information from other galaxies. He had this take on where some of his inventions were coming from. It's like, what? Or some of the transmissions that he would receive. I mean, God damn it, wouldn't it have been amazing to talk to that guy?
Yes.
Imagine having Nikola Tesla on the podcast.
Oh. Who knows, man? Maybe you still can one day.
Maybe we could bring him back.
Yeah, bring him back. Or, like, create an AI Tesla. I think a lot of people have that feeling, and some of them just don't come out of the closet, so to speak, with it, because they're afraid they're going to get judged or ostracized. I think a lot of people feel like they have a direct contact with some kind of sentience that isn't embodied inside of them, and it's giving them ideas, and they're just terrified to put it out to the world because it sounds like you're fucking nuts.
His claims of receiving signals from outer space were proven right a century later. Ooh. During the summer of 1899, Tesla set up a field laboratory in Colorado Springs, Colorado, to the possibilities of using high-altitude stations to transmit information and electric power over long distances. 1 July...
This is not what
I'm
talking about. This is about just signals, not like him getting... I went too quickly on that.
Oh, okay. Where is the signals?
This is like radio signals.
Oh, that he was getting radio signals from other planets.
After the ruling out, I think this is about sending...
After ruling out solar and terrestrial causes, he concluded the signals must be from another planet.
He had a seizure and had a vision, which is what, like, that's a...
Yeah, well, here it says, on 1 July day, while tracking lightning storms... Oh, so it's actually equipment. His equipment picked up a series of beeps. After ruling out solar and terrestrial causes, he concluded the signals must be from another planet. The following Christmas, in response to the American Red Cross's request for a prediction of the greatest scientific achievement of the coming century, Tesla wrote, "Brethren, we have a message from another world, unknown and remote. It reads, 1, 2, 3. In 1996, scientists published a study replicating Tesla's experiment and showing that the signal was in fact caused by the moon low passing through Jupiter's magnetic field. Holy fuck. He was picking up a moon passing through Jupiter's magnetic field.
Yeah. But he had woo ideas too, man.
Oh, yeah, he was in love with a pigeon.
He's in love with a pigeon. Not just that, though. He, I think he did think he was in contact with, like, some kind of sentient intelligence, for sure.
Why not? Why wouldn't you think? If you're that smart, imagine how smart he was in comparison to, like, a regular dope. Hey, mister, you want to buy a paper? You know, those people from back then. Some fucking dude selling papers in the corner, and then the greatest genius the world's ever known up to that point.
Yeah.
wandering around trying to figure out how to send electricity through the sky.
Maybe that's all intelligence is, though, man. Is like having the willingness to let yourself go crazy enough to believe you're not the creator of your ideas, to believe that you're an antenna. Maybe that's what makes a person intelligent. Maybe that's all it takes, that and discipline.
Well, yeah, the discipline to learn all the things that you need to know to be able to study and actually implement that technology. It's like Tesla was both things. He was a genius, and he was probably some sort of a visionary in that way. Like he had, like Elon has, he had an extra large magnet for ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude.
I think anyone can do that.
How strong is this weed?
Fucking strong,
Pretty
man. I'm
goddamn
so
good,
glad.
right?
Anytime you give me weed, I'm always forget how strong it is. And every time I'm like, fuck, man, you got to be careful.
We go high grade up in this bitch, son. It's important to go high grade.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, there's a theory that is actually being tossed about, that these people that have this ancient, well, they have this memory of childbirth, right? So all of a sudden you're being born, there's bright lights above you, there's a man or a woman who's the surgeon with a mask that covers their face, so all you see is their eyes.
Okay.
And everything looks bright and it's terrifying and clinical, and you're on this table and everything's cold. Most of these alien abduction experiences that people recount, they take place in some sort of a medical
Hospital
facility
setting. Yeah.
Yeah, and everything is bright and strange and cold, and they think that what this is they're saying that we had this idea that children don't have memories, that babies don't have memories.
I see where
and so
you're-
they're saying, well, why wouldn't they have memories? That's ridiculous. Of
Right,
course they have
yeah.
memories. They have brains. They grab your
Right.
finger, they look you in the eye. They would have a memory of every second that they were born. And it's probably one of the most profound and disturbing memories, because before that, everything is incredibly
Yeah.
peaceful.
Yeah.
You're inside the mother's womb. You
And
know,
then you're just like taken
and then
out.
you're pulled out,
yeah.
and then there's this bright light above you.
Yeah.
You've never experienced any light.
Yeah.
So and your visual perception, your field of view is all distorted, right? This is the
that's
first time you're using
interesting.
your eyes. That's why people have
So
the
it's like
same.
tapping into this memory,
Yes.
this early memory. That's interesting.
This
yeah.
is a theory. It makes sense to me, because if you think about
Makes more sense than the abduction.
Well, it does, because people don't really go anywhere. See, the thing about the abduction thing is they put like cameras in people's rooms, and they say they have these alien abduction
Okay.
experiences, but they don't go anywhere. So what
that's
they're doing is they're
interesting.
dreaming.
Yeah.
I mean, which is
the
normal.
mind is amazing and
Sure.
and it's so powerful, and we know so little still.
Yeah. So
about it.
also, like all these. I mean, it's kind of duh, because they all happen while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Like 90
And you're
plus
right.
percent.
They tend to be medical.
Yeah. It's very
revolve
medical
around.
in nature, right? You're being examined. And then there's also, going back to childbirth, there's also a lot of people that have these experiences that they are being told that either they're taking their baby away from them, or they're studying their baby,
Okay.
or that they had a baby inside of them that they didn't know
Right.
about, and that the aliens have put it there and they're taking it
That's
out.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it even goes back to the virgin birth, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's all very weird. But this memory that people have from childhood is most likely, probably a pretty intense,
Yeah, that's
powerful
interesting.
memory that's always there.
Yeah, and
Your
affecting
first memory.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
some people can tap into it, and some people can't.
Yeah,
clearly.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also a theory, while natural childbirth is supposed to be less traumatic, like women having natural childbirth in a
Yeah.
bathtub.
Yeah.
That is actually.
Well, we're kind of like moving back to, it's men start to get involved in childbirth around the 17th century, 18th century.
What happened before then? Is
It was
hung
mostly
out?
women. So women in the village would come. And actually the term gossip comes from the idea the women who would spread the word in the village that someone was going into labor, they were called the gossips. So they would spread the word.
wow.
It became sort of a negative thing later. So the gossips would spread the word, the women would come in. This was a female-only chamber, and men were not really allowed in. A man might be brought in if the mother was dying or if the child was dying. And then in that case, instruments were brought into the birthing chamber. So the doctor might come in and he might take these sort of forceps and pick the baby apart and take the baby out. The baby would die.
God.
But in those cases, it was like really extreme. Like this was going to happen. Like either the mother was going to die, the baby was going to die. Both of them were going to die.
Or if the baby's coming out feet first.
Yeah, I mean, but a capable midwife could handle that. But this, the Caesarean section, people think that it comes from the term, the idea that Julius Caesar was ripped from the womb of his mother.
Right.
But it's unlikely that story is true because his mother lives into old age. So probably the term Caesarean comes from the Latin term meaning to cut. And the first sort of record we have of this happening, I think, is in the 16th century. And it's a farmer. And he takes the instruments that he uses to castrate his pigs to cut this baby out of his wife.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And we don't have any records of whether this probably didn't work. Again, no idea of germs, all this kind of stuff.
We don't know if she lived?
I don't have, there's no sort of, it doesn't follow, the records don't follow the story. But she probably died and the baby probably died as well.
They go out into the desert and they have some sort of a secret frequency. He didn't want to discuss it, that they can push out. They can send out the secret frequency and it'll call them in. And that other people have done it simply by willing them in.
Yeah, that's what I did.
So sitting there and putting out this message that you're trying to communicate with them, and then eventually they show up.
Yeah, I can't speak to technologically assisted psionics and all that kind of stuff, but do you want to hear my UFO story? Okay.
So, first of all, where did you come up with this idea on your own, or did you hear about people doing this?
No, I heard of it from someone who's a quite polarizing figure in the UFO community. I know you've spoken to him, Dr. Stephen Greer. But
polarizing people are right sometimes.
He's right on this.
Yeah, they could be right on a lot of
things. He's right on this, and I know that a lot of people have issues with Greer, but he was actually my intro into the UFO subject. So I'll tell you the story. Sorry about my throat. Let me just take a sip of water, actually.
No worries.
So this was...
How did he find out about it?
It's a good question. He had a near-death experience, I believe, and from that was actually apparently communicated to and shown things that when he came out of that experience, he became a samadhi-type, teacher. And,
of course.
Got profoundly interested in
That's a great origin story.
Brilliant origin story. My origin story was that I was really bored during COVID. No, so honestly though, it was actually in 2019 that I had these experiences. And I do think that it's very important to lay a bit of foundational groundwork because I think a lot of people will recognize this as well. And it's something that you mentioned with Bigfoot being in a high-stress environment in the forest. Maybe that changes your perception. And I think that there's a degree of trauma and a degree of intense emotional moments that can bring about paranormal experiences. I don't know why, but it does seem to be something that a lot of people relate to. Yes, I was in a very dark time. Yes, I was having a very traumatic time. Or yes, I was going through something. And then this happened. And so for me, I was in my third year of university and struggling. Just had a whole mix of personal issues going on. So I ended up kind of dropping out before I finished and was just in a really bad rut. And my dad was worried about me. And he said, look, I'm out in... this is a bit of a long story, but it's important to lay this foundation, I think, before I talk about what I actually experienced, because it plays in. My dad was worried. He was out in France at the time, and he said, look, do you want to come out and stay at this place with me and just, kind of relax and bring yourself back to normal? I was like, yeah, okay. So I came out, and he was like, I've got these books that I've been reading. I think they'd be really beneficial for you. You should read them. And I was like, okay, I don't see how a book's going to change
Does he
anything.
often recommend books?
Not massively, no. In fact, no. This was the only time he recommended books, which is interesting. And they were a series of books called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. Have you ever heard of them?
No.
Okay, so it's interesting. It kind of ties into, I suppose, the channeled works, things that people believe they receive.
Oh, wait a minute. I have heard of this.
He's quite well known. He's quite well known. he, was a radio DJ, broke his neck in a car accident, became homeless, finally managed to get back on his feet, but was still struggling, wrote an angry letter to God, and then apparently woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and was having like voices literally telling him to write things down. And so he wrote all of this down, and this became Conversations with God. It's literally a dialogue of him asking questions and him receiving answers, which he interpreted as from God. Now, that is intense, and I'm definitely not here to say this is a Bible and everyone should read it. However, it was incredibly impactful for me at that time. The things that I was reading about, it was a very different idea of God, universal consciousness leaning towards more than some weird patriarchal cloud living figure that just never made sense to me. So it got me in, and I was reading it, and it helped tremendously, weirdly enough, which I didn't expect. And that put me on a path towards researching metaphysics and philosophy and science and consciousness, and that's where it really started for me. But then a couple years down the line, I found myself in another depression, in a sense, because I felt like I'd accumulated a lot of information about various different topics that I thought were like these big questions and big answers and big esoteric things. And I just got to a point where I was like, none of this is actually helping me in my life. In fact, I'm actually feeling like fucking worse for looking into all of this thing. I don't know how this is going to benefit me. So I was sitting on my bed one night, and I guess you could call it a prayer. I just sat on my bed and said out loud to the universe, like, I need something that validates all of this. Like, if I'm meant to be looking into these big picture questions about the universe and consciousness, if there's something tangible here, like I need to know, and I want evidence, and I'm ready for it. So give me it. I want that. And then a week later, my best friend at the time, he was like, hey, I was watching this documentary. You've got to check it out. It's called Unacknowledged by this guy called Dr. Stephen Greer. And this is my first introduction to the UFO subject. So I was like, okay, cool. Sit down and watch that. Very good documentary. All of these different, high-level officers and missile launch guys talking about UFOs. It got me in. And then near the end of that is when he brings up this concept of CE5, initiating contact with these. You can actually have your own experiences by getting into a particular meditative state. If I hadn't been making that request on my bed the week prior, I probably just would have watched that documentary and gone about my life. But it felt like a very strong message to me personally, because I've been asking for something to validate these ideas around consciousness. Now there's a guy saying, yeah, you can actually have an experience by going out and attempting to, ask for one.
So talk me through the process of actually doing that.
So he has...
Did you get it on the first try?
No.
How many times did you try?
It was a weird gradual thing where things were happening in the sky that were enough to keep me going out, but not enough for me to be like, okay, this is legit.
So like how many times did you go out before it worked?
Before I saw what I really, really saw, probably about a month of going out.
Damn, that's commitment.
But I was seeing things, but they weren't. It was kind of just enough to make me like, okay.
What were you seeing?
Lots of what the contact community call flash bulbs, flashes of light in the night sky in a void of space, repeatedly without any discernible object attached to it. Just one flash, and then send a thought, another flash. Send a thought, another flash. And this happened multiple times. I've been someone who watches the night sky all my life. I'm used to seeing satellites. I know what iridium flares are. For? Maybe an hour, 2 hours,
And so you sit down. Are you seated?
No, I'd usually be standing with my neck craned to the sky, but I would be...
Why don't you get a lounge chair?
I know.
More meditative.
I know. I don't know. I don't think about things properly sometimes when I do them.
Just lay down on the ground?
Just lay on the grass,
Don't you get a better view of the sky?
Yeah, but it's cold in England, and it was wet, mildewy on the floor.
It
was not.
Get a tarp.
Yeah. But I was essentially, because of again being asking the universe for something. The universe seemed to be giving me some sort of response. It kind of lit a fire up under me, and I started going outside. And honestly, a lot of people, like even Greer, has this incredibly complicated method using samadhi and doing various things. I didn't do any of that. I just breathed in through the nose and out through the mouth until I felt very calm, and then began to very clearly model my thoughts around the concept of I want something to respond to me, and then I would essentially visualize that was emanating from me, that these thoughts were emanating from me. And it didn't take very long before I'd have flashes of light in the sky that just seemed weird, because I've never seen anything like that, or an incredible influx of what look and behave like satellites, but just at an incredibly high level, where it's just like, what's going on here? And it just felt like a kind of step-by-step progression until in August of 2019, I had 4 incredibly vivid and real experiences with orange orbs of light. Really profound.
What was that? What happened?
So I was outside. At this point, it become my routine. It was in the summer of August, and it was relatively warm, so I was out doing this quite a lot, seeing little flashes, seeing things in the sky, trying to figure out what exactly it was that I was seeing. And I was standing at the back of my garden looking towards my house, night sky, crystal clear. And I saw at the beginning a flash of light in the corner of the sky. So I looked over and I saw this flash, another flash, another flash, and it was just blinking, but it was static in space. And then it started moving down. Every time it blinked, it would move further down. And I was observing this. And then it settled above 2 stars and kind of created the apex of a triangle. And it was just flashing above these 2 stars. And I was watching this for a while. And it happened for long enough where I just decided, all right, thank you, whatever you are. I'm just going to keep panning around the sky here and looking around. And as I panned my head, I saw that there was a cloud, but I didn't really look at it. And I turn around here, come back, and I see this cloud again. And this time I really look at it. And this cloud, Joe, had, so strange, it's like a dark cloud, but when you stared at it, it had a staticky appearance. It's very hard to describe other than imagine a light overlay of TV static. There was particles, it was agitated, it was shimmering, it was something, not a cloud, like certainly not anything I've ever seen in my life. And if we pretend this microphone is my house and this cloud is here, it's drifting this way. So eventually it's going to drift past my house and go this way, at least according to its natural trajectory. It gets to my house and it does a right angle turn and it starts coming towards me. So eventually it's going to be above my head, this cloud-like formation.
A cloud does a right angle turn in the sky.
Abrupt, as in 90 degrees. It's going like this, and now it's going like this towards you. High up in the sky, but it's now in my path. Complete 90-degree shift from its trajectory. And I saw it, like a jarring, bloop, now it's going this way. Okay, so at this point, I'm rooted in place. I'm not really scared, but I'm shocked at the fact that this thing did what it just did. And I'm watching as it's coming closer and closer, towards where I'm going to be. Eventually, it's directly above my head. It sounds so crazy. And, Terence McKenna said something like this. He was like, if you tell the unvarnished truth about a UFO experience, you'll be taken for a fool. It's like, it's true. If you just tell people what really happened. But this is what really happened. So this cloud comes above my head. As it's directly above my head, this cloud like sucked into itself as if there was a central vacuum, a central point where it just got sucked into itself. And it revealed a triangle formation of about 25, maybe 30 orange orbs of light in a triangle. And this triangle, basically the cloud went, triangle was revealed, it kept moving. I had to turn around and watch as it went off in this direction. And as I was watching it, I could see that some of these orbs were actually swapping formation, swapping position in this formation. And that was the first time I saw them. I saw them 3 other occasions, all within the space of a month after this. Weirdly enough, I woke up the next day, and this is the only element of the story, as crazy as the whole thing sounds, is the only element that makes me personally uncomfortable. I was getting out of the shower, and as I was drying myself off, immediately noticed where this tattoo is now. There was a triangle mark of three red marks, one here, one here, one here. Very vivid, like the
And you covered it up with a tattoo?
Well, it faded. It
Did
faded
you take any
over
pictures
time.
of it?
I have taken pictures of it. Yeah.
Is it clear?
Yes.
Can I see it?
I can try and find them. Yeah, I haven't got my internet on right now. Jamie, if you go onto my X account and just type in J. Anderson marks on arm, maybe that will come up. I'm sorry, I should have really sent that ahead of time, but I do have images online. People have seen them, and I've discussed it many times.
Did it look like a wound? Did
this
it
is
look
the thing.
like a tattoo?
So 3 red marks, no bump, no scab, no itching, no feeling of discomfort. There was a slight shine to them, as if it was almost like a healed over burn, and this was very vivid. It didn't dissipate for over a year. It was on my arm for about a year before it faded away, eventually faded away. And then I got Hermes Trismegistus tattooed on my arm. But weirdly enough, I got this tattoo and then got invited to Egypt. But yeah, I had these experiences. I had another experience where they came down and hovered above my house.
Can I ask you this? So these orbs,
Yeah. There you go.
Wow.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks for that.
That is
weird.
It looks like you burned 3 cigarettes on your arm.
That's what some arsehole online definitely claimed, but I didn't.
Well, that's what I would say too if I was an asshole online.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, this I noticed it immediately.
Very
I'm
weird.
not particularly comfortable with it. I don't know what it really means. I really, I'm
they
a bit of an idiot, Joe, because I should have gone to a dermatologist. I should have actually had someone
You got
look at it.
branded, but like cattle, son.
Well,
They
that's kind
branded
of what
you.
I think. And at the same time,
They're like, let's keep an eye on this one.
can I even be mad at them? I was like, show me, give me evidence. I want to sign. Well, fuck it, fine then.
Right.
There you go, dude.
I would say whatever that is on your arm, who knows? Maybe a dermatologist could explain it. It's just a coincidence. But the actual thing itself is far more interesting to me. And because one of the things that people always say is, if they were out there, what wouldn't we see them? Like, God, if they could come here from another dimension, or if they can come here from another planet or another solar system, don't you think they could probably hide? Like, we're pretty good at hiding. Like, don't you think, like, we have technology right now, like the stealth bomber stuff, that diminishes the radar signal.
Exactly.
Like, you can't pick them up on radar. So why would it be impossible to somehow or another manipulate your visual field, project what looks like clouds on the outside? We know that we can do stuff like that with plasma. Like they have these plasma things that could spin in the sky.
Absolutely.
And it's weird. They can make objects out of them.
I wonder if that was plasma. I actually do wonder if this was a form of self-organizing plasma, because that's definitely something that people have looked into quite extensively.
Maybe plasma has intelligence.
Yes.
There's some, yeah.
Yes, and that perhaps these are a form of individuated plasmic intelligences that can interact.
If aliens are real, I'm not 100% convinced, but I'm probably like 90% convinced. But if they are real, I leave in the room for bullshit. It's like, Jamie, get a picture of your shirt.
If they're
Show
real.
everybody the shirt you're wearing, why we're talking about that. It's a UFO. It says, can they see it? Believe that. That's a dope shirt. Exactly.
That's a saucer, if I've ever seen one.
I think if they're here, they're not going to let us. That's what I think.
Well, that's what.
I think they're going to swoop in and go, hey.
Well, that's.
Fuck.
I'm 25, right? I can't speak on anything, but just looking from past experience, and there's like drawings, like
Right.
even in the Mona Lisa, there's a weird thing or whatever in the
It looks like a
background
flying
and shit.
saucer.
But there's a spike. It's a spike in because it's getting pretty weird here.
The spike, they think, it's hard to tell because sometimes when people talk about UFOs, a bunch of other people hallucinate or lie. Like there's a lot of that.
Right.
So every time there's a real legit UFO,
Right.
you get a bunch of nut cases who just want to tell crazy shit
Right.
about being taken
And I
aboard
seen one.
spaceships.
You've
seen a
never.
UFO?
Yeah.
What'd you say? What'd it look like?
I was probably 16. I was in upstate New York, and it would just stay there. So let me precursor this. My aunt and uncle were very strict, and we had to go to bed at a very strict deadline, probably 10 p.m. And I was looking out the window with my cousin, and it's just a light that just stays there and then just fucking goes off. I mean, it just, whew, you can't explain it.
Well, if you're 17 at the time?
16.
16? How strong is this memory when you're like looking at it, when you're trying to remember it?
Medium.
Medium?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
I
for
mean, there's
sure-
something there.
For sure something took off and did something that didn't make sense to you?
For sure. And then in Utah, I mean, there's shit happens all the time. I mean, even here in LA, I can't tell you how many times, because I used to live in Tarzana. So there was like a balcony here, and it looked kind of like, it sounds corny, but like a classic like force field. Whenever you think of a force field, and it just kind of goes like this, and it's kind of like a dome in a circular shape. and it just goes like this and goes back in.
Whoa.
In Tarzana, looking down at the fucking city. And I'm like, how did no one else see this?
They might have.
But I was there with like fucking 4 other people, and they saw it too.
The thing about unique events is if a unique event happens and it never happens again, it's hard to remember. It's hard to be sure what you saw. It's hard. But if aliens are visiting us, like how often are they doing it? Like unique events would probably be what it would be.
Right.
It'd be like occasionally,
Right.
once every 6 months, someone sees one somewhere. But they're here all the time. They probably just know how to evade detection. I mean, it just if something can travel here from another planet, it's going to be able to know when they're being watched and when they're not being watched. That's not going to be hard.
That's why you got to wonder if it's like intentional.
I think there's enough talk about it now that we're probably going to find out what it is in our lifetime. I never would think that before. I think the government withheld information for whatever reason. Maybe they think people are scared. Maybe they think it's a threat to the national security, to have a bunch of people worried that aliens are flying around us all the time. There's nothing we can do about it. Maybe they like had a conversation and they thought maybe it'd be better to keep people in the quiet or keep them in the dark so that they don't freak out, because there's nothing we can do about it anyway. If we just tell them that there's aliens that are visiting us all the time, that's not going to be good. They're not going to pay attention to taxes and mortgage rates and the stock market. They're going to be
care
like, holy
about uranium and
there's
shit
aliens.
like that.
They're around us all the time.
Yeah.
They're going to be, people are going to freak out. So I think like little drops of like this, the recent one they said, where they
what did the Pentagon just say?
Yeah,
literally like
they
2
said
fucking days ago.
They've recovered crafts that are not from this world, not made on Earth.
Not made on Earth.
Yeah, not made on Earth.
Yeah.
They're basically saying we don't know what the fuck it is, but we didn't make it. That's bananas. And I think that's going to lead to more and more information coming out about it, where we're going to try to get a sense of understanding, like how long have they known this? You know, how much of like all that Roswell, New Mexico shit was true? Like tell us what was going on.
And backtracking, you got to wonder if like, oh, we've been hiding this the whole time, or this is the first time for real that we don't know.
This is what I like to think. I like to think that the people that are in charge at the Pentagon are patriots, and they realize it's probably better, especially when you're dealing with the United States. It's in this kind of turmoil that they're in right now. It's crazy, between racial turmoil and turmoil with the police and turmoil with people protesting in cities and blocking traffic. There's so much crazy turmoil. They'd be like, no one's even going to notice now. Just say it now. Just say, yeah, we got UFOs. Like, everything is so crazy. The news cycle of any crazy story like this is only a few days, and then people forget.
Well, or it's just people already know, and it's just normalization. And you think about movies as just normalizing you to the idea that I can't even, like the Canadian, don't quote me on this, but a Canadian, someone in office was like, there's like 7 species of aliens in the U.S. government.
It would be crazy if it was true.
That's,
you know, Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith.
Do y'all
were
remember
right
that?
All along.
Yeah, check that out. Please fact check that for me.
Is he a loony person, though?
I have no idea.
See, people can get elected and still be crazy. That's a problem.
For certain.
That's a problem. You know, just because, like, when you hear about someone having, like, a really high-profile job and they say something crazy, it doesn't mean they're not crazy. Just because they're the prime minister of some fucking country, they could be out of their mind.
What do we got? Something close to that. How close?
Canada's former defense minister claims that aliens are real. Apparently, there's a humanoid-esque race of aliens called the Tall Whites living among us. Huh. It's Adam Curry.
What publication is
Adam
this?
Curry.
Is this Vice?
Yeah, it's on Vice.
Adam
There's on
Curry's
Vice.
the
There's a few other places.
Well,
There's a few. So it's like a real deal.
He definitely said it. It seems like.
Come on.
That's crazy shit.
Yeah, that is crazy shit. The thing is that guy nuts? Like, what else does he believe in? You know, how does he feel about ghosts? Right? when you think about like an alien sighting, like if you saw an alien and then you never saw one again for the rest of your life,
Right.
it would fuck with your memory, even if the alien was real. If a saucer
Right.
emerged in front of you and then took off, that's the same thing with a ghost. Like if you saw a fucking ghost, if you walked into your basement to go get a screw for something, and you turned
Right.
and you saw an apparition of a woman
Right.
who's like staring you down. Did you
Right.
ever see that Guillermo del Toro movie about the lady who's a ghost who adopts kids?
No.
Dude, it's a dark movie. What is it called? Mother? What is it called? It's fucking creepy.
Is it?
It's creepy.
Do you like horror movies?
I love them.
Me too.
I love
I'm a
them.
dirty little bitch. I love horror movies.
I think it's called Mama.
Mama, yes, that's it.
Oh,
It's-
is that?
Bro, it's so
that's not
creepy.
with two Swedish kids, right?
I don't.
Does she
remember.
have two?
This is it. This
two
is it.
sons?
Did you see this?
No.
She has 2 kids.
No, I haven't seen that.
She's well, I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give the story away, but it's crazy. She finds these kids in the woods and raises them. She's a ghost, and it's a
Sure.
fucking terrifying movie.
She's a ghost. Wait,
yes. And so
is that a
people adopt
spoiler?
the kids. They find the kids. I can't tell you anymore. I can't tell you
Spoiler
anymore.
alert.
I can't tell you anymore. No, you know she's a ghost from the very beginning of the movie.
Okay, good. Yeah,
I
this is
can't-
terrifying.
Dude, it's fucking horrifying. It's a terrifying movie.
Well, you get the best of both worlds, right? You get a creepy like mom style, and then you get
Yes.
creepy kids, which
You
are
get
like
both.
the
You get a
double
kid.
terrifying.
I
What's
can't
the
say-
movie
I
I'm
can't say
thinking
anymore
of?
without spoiler alert in it.
There's I think it might be called. So it's 2 kids. It might be Swedish or like Norwegian or something.
Is it the
And-
vampire movie?
No,
There's
but
there's a vampire movie, a foreign vampire movie. Is it Let the Right One In? I think it is, or is that the American version of it?
Let the Right One In is a scary movie.
That's a scary movie, right?
Yeah.
That's a vampire movie about vampire kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, the thing about a ghost is if you saw one and if they're just real every now and then, you saw one and it was right in front of you, you're in the woods,
Right.
you're going to walk your dog and you see some old man with no legs floating in front of you.
That's the one.
Good Night Mommy. Is what
Yeah.
Oh, good night, mommy. What's this one about?
Same, I don't know.
Same kind of deal? Oh,
Spoiler,
Jesus Christ.
spoiler alert.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Save that for later.
Did you see something good?
Yeah.
I missed it.
Some scary lady in the corner.
Check that motherfucker out. That's
Okay.
a good one.
I'm scared.
But you see him in the woods,
Yeah.
please.
Oh, yeah. If you saw some apparition in the woods and then you never saw it again for the rest of your life, it doesn't mean it wasn't real.
Right.
It just means it's really rare that happens. Like, that's a thing about a unique event. Like, imagine if you're an ant your whole fucking life.
Right.
All you've ever known is this anthill. Everybody's chilling, working every day, chopping up leaves, going out and getting popcorn or whatever shit it finds. And then one day, some person comes along like Post Malone, just stomps the fuck out of that anthill.
Sure.
Till that moment, all that thing has ever known was that anthill. Never even knew that it was possible for something to, because it's been alive for a couple of weeks. And during that couple of weeks, no one's ever stomped on the anthill. But then it happens. And then you realize that there's no pattern to these things. Anything can happen. Like if you're a person, aliens can land. They
Yeah.
can land on the White House lawn
Yeah.
tomorrow and take over the world. And there's nothing we can do about it. Like that could be our new normal. Okay, fuck masks. The new normal is there's alien spaceships that hover over every city and they tell you what to do. And you have to work for them now. Forever.
To the ant argument, we're smarter than ants.
Yes, we are. But we're, in comparison, probably dumber than aliens are. Like, we're
Oh,
dumber in
most-
comparison to aliens than ants are to people.
Well, that's why you like all
That's a
these
guess.
celestial sightings. Yeah, I mean, this is all spitballing here.
But it could be possible, right?
Celestial sightings documented throughout history.
Throughout history.
Hey, I just made a fire. This is dope, right? Fire's cool. But what the fuck is that? That has to be
Yeah.
God. Like, man has always looked up for
true.
answers.
It's true.
And so that's why it's a scary thing.
The
Because
idea of-
do they want to hurt us, or did we come from them?
I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's impossible that we're a product of genetic manipulation. I don't know if we are. I know we're definitely primates.
We're just playthings, maybe.
We just look so different than every other monkey. All the other monkeys are covered in hair. This is this weird semi-hairless monkey, who knows how to use electronics, who knows how to send video through the sky.
You know the Anunnaki?
Yes.
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 If Lou was here, I got a great friend, Lou. Shout out to Lou. He would talk your ear off about this whole deal.
About this to an actual archaeologist yesterday.
Or the Nephilim.
Bradley Garrett. Yeah, the Nephilim or the Anunnaki from planet Nibiru, all that Zachariah Sitchin stuff. You ever read those books?
No, sir.
The books are weird, man. You know what's weird? Like, there's stuff that he was saying in, like, I believe it was like the 1970s, where he was deciphering these texts. And one of the things that he said is, this is the craziest one of all. Humans were genetically engineered from lower primates, and they were used to harvest gold. And that the Anunnaki needed gold because gold is very plentiful here,
right,
and very hard to find, very rare on their planet.
Right.
And they engineered humans to mine. That's why people love gold so much.
Right.
If you think about like the usefulness of gold.
Right.
Gold isn't even remotely, unless you're making electronics, like gold's not the best metal. Like, why is it so valuable? Because it's pretty. Well, it's not even the prettiest shit. Like, rubies are prettier than gold. Emeralds are prettier than gold. Why is gold so goddamn expensive?
But where does diamonds fit in?
It's a good question. Probably just someone tricked a chick into thinking it was a good move.
I was reading about, like, yeah, that's what, there's like one movie, she had a diamond and then popped off.
Let me finish what I'm saying, because this is where it gets weird. They said that they needed it to hang in their atmosphere to protect them from the sun because they were losing their atmosphere. Well, we're losing our atmosphere. And one of the things that scientists have suggested is hanging reflective particles above the Earth, like putting them in orbit, all like a reflective dust in orbit, so that it would mute out some of the effects of the sun. So what they suggested, what he was saying in 1978 is what they suggested in like 2018.
Right.
So when they're talking about how to fix some of the global warming issues, they were literally saying some of the stuff that was in this book that he was reading. He's deciphering these ancient Sumerian texts from 6,000 years ago.
No shit.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if
his interpretations
where
are
did
right,
he
though.
get it from?
He is just a guy who's a linguist who studies these ancient languages and reinterprets them, but it's very highly in dispute. That's the problem. Like, you or I, we're not going to figure it out. We're not going to know who's right. It's too complicated.
Right.
But there's a website called sitchiniswrong.com, and if you go there, it refutes all of his. I don't know who's right or who's wrong, but it's interesting to see the argument. But again, whatever the fuck was going on back then, 6,000 years ago, whatever was going on, they were writing about some wacky shit.
Right.
They were.
And is that the shrooms, or is that?
Is it contact?
Yeah.
It's not impossible. We could have easily been contacted by some other life form that's similar to us, but that's a million years advanced. We could have been contacted all throughout history.
Right.
Yeah. Up until 1860, whatever the fuck it was, all you would have is a drawing and a story. Imagine that.
How famous people, who the fuck knows? But now, if you look at the last 200 years, it has accelerated like a motherfucker. And there's so much, like, 200 years ago, people would look at the Bronco or anything like that and be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what is that?
It happened so quick.
It's happening so quick right now. I mean, that SpaceX thing, they've already figured out how to get something to fly into the sky and then bring it back and land it.
It's insane.
Yeah. We are in a weird fucking time. And if the aliens come right now, it's probably the best time to come. We're going to be the most relaxed about it. No one's been able to work for 6 months.
I feel like everybody's,
People are scared to shake hands.
What are you going to do?
Everyone's terrified.
Are you going to say hi? Or are you
to the aliens?
Are you going to grab your bow?
Oh, I'm going to say hi for sure. I'm not stupid. They could come here for I'm not kicking anybody's
disintegration.
Ass. Yeah, I'm not even interested in kicking someone's ass from another dimension. I just want to say hi. Tell me what's up.
Tell me what's actually
I want to have an alien on the podcast. Can you imagine?
I could call Tyler up.
3 foot tall, 40-pound dude with a giant bulbous head and like antenna-like fingers, and he's explaining how they traverse space and time instantaneously.
No.
Can you imagine? They're making sounds, and you interpret those sounds no matter what language you're in all over the world. You instantaneously interpret
Well,
what
it'd
they're
be through
saying.
your brain. You wouldn't be able to hear them.
Yeah, they would do it through a podcast. They'd be able
would
to
do it
engineer
through-
the sounds they make.
They
And
would
we'd have
do
to
it
realize, what
through-
is this sound, and
Through
why do I
Shure
understand what he's saying?
SM78s.
They would hit you with some sound that's so complex, you would understand exactly what they're saying,
Yeah.
even though you don't know the language. And everybody would be like, what in the fuck is going on? Oh my God, there's an alien on the JRE. And that's what it would be. Me talking to some alien.
You answer
They
questions
better
like UFC.
give you some more goddamn money.
I think that's the least of our problems when the aliens come. That shit is going to be wiped
Well,
off.
that's when we need gold.
Yeah, we're going to be gold miners again, folks. We're going to look for some sturdy person with a wide back. That's what's going to be
look good.
valuable. Thank you. But I mean, good enough to mine gold? I don't know. You imagine if that's life in the future? They come down and go, you got two choices. One, we eat you. Two, you mine gold for us.
Are they
And
eating
stay
humans?
alive. Why not? Why wouldn't they eat us? They'd be like, listen, you guys are just protein. You're assholes.
They probably eat clouds
Yeah.
or like energy. They probably just eat energy.
Yeah, maybe they just exist in some sort of like a
Dude, they're probably not
redundant
even
system.
fucking material.
Probably.
They're probably just fucking ethereal.
Well, maybe they figured out a way to make life. So maybe they figured out a way how to make life where you can transfer your consciousness in some eternal mechanical thing. So you're obsessed with UFOs, right? Is that safe to say?
It's safe to say, but it's not so much just the UFO itself. I mean, I don't call them that anymore. We call these advanced aerial threats. They're different, but
Threats?
you honed in on a word we weren't supposed to really get into here in the first part of the show.
Did you have a plan?
I have a very long plan, detailed plan. We're going to start with my body. We're just going to talk about my body for a lot. And
Okay, what do you want to talk about when it comes to your body?
well, my body is interesting. It's unique.
Okay.
And it changes shape. And what I've noticed is it's just changing,
Yeah, it's getting larger.
larger,
maybe?
getting wider.
Depending upon what you put in it.
But you're all. Can I cuss?
Yeah, for sure. We're on the internet.
You're so fucking fit. You shook my hand. They're gonna break my hand.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, just don't be strong.
I didn't mean to.
Don't be so
I was
handsome
just
and
shaking
strong.
your hand. Just thought it was a handshake.
I know. Well, it's one of those power moves. You ever see when Trump shakes people's hands and he pulls them in and he's
Oh
like,
yeah, he does do weird shit.
he does
right?
weird shit like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. I just meant to shake your hand like a man.
Well, I took it as like, know your place, motherfucker.
Oh,
this
that's
is my
weird.
show.
I didn't think that.
No, I'm just joking.
Interesting. So, when did you get obsessed with this aerial threat thing? And why do you call them threats?
We'll get into that, I guess.
Okay.
But I got into it when I was in junior high. But for some weird reason, I had like some time off and I went to the school library in like 7th grade, and I was like, damn, I'm gonna read some boring shit. What am I gonna read? And I saw this one book, and it had a picture of the Loch Ness Monster and like a UFO. I'm all, that looks cool. And I read that, and I was like, holy cow, these are like real. It wasn't all science fiction. I mean, the way the book was laid out, I was like, these are like real events. I'm all, there's no way, really. And then when the band started doing its thing in the back of the van, there were no like smartphones, so we were buying books, and I would just lay there. We'd have like 20-hour drives, and so I started buying books on the UFO phenomenon. And I was, once you do that, it's a black hole. You're done.
Yeah, it's definitely a rabbit hole. You get sucked into it. At my house, I have a framed poster that's the cover of the Roswell Daily News.
Yeah,
That shows the day after the Roswell crash, where it says that the Air Force came and recovered the wreckage, and the whole deal. I've been obsessed with this shit since I was a little kid.
Yeah, I think that's by design. I think that this generation was meant to have this stuff come out. But I can't prove that. That's just my feeling.
What makes you feel that? Like,
because of exactly what you said. There's a lot of people. I don't believe that some of the events happened on accident. I think that there's been a lot of events that are on purpose. Some have been for show. Some have been for. There's a variety of reasons, but I think a lot of it is a control system that's really pushing humanity in a very specific direction. And
So like they've got a time frame where they've had these events take place. Is that what you think?
yeah, and they also time travel, which is different than what people think in like a movie where they sit in a machine and all of a sudden you're in the 1930s and you got to go save humanity. When you use the technology, there's a time difference between what they're doing inside of an artificially created bubble of gravity of sorts, and then what's on the outside. So if you're on the inside of one of those machines, everything would be skewed more black and white. There would be like a red shift, and everybody would look frozen. So you literally could fly around and grab a Coke out of someone's hand and put it in someone else's hand. It's really,
Where are you getting this from?
well, take a wild guess. Look at the people I'm surrounded by, you know.
So the people you're surrounded by are telling you this? Is that what it is?
Well, I don't want to get into that, but the people I'm surrounded with and myself, you know, are very close to this stuff. But the physics, you know, the physicist that's a co-founder of my company, To the Star, he's a Nobel nominee. He wrote the book on plasma physics.
What's his name?
Hal Puthoff, Dr. Hal Puthoff. And he created remote viewing. Do you know what remote viewing is?
Yeah.
He's the creator of the CIA psychic spy program, but he also has done like really exotic, advanced, forefront propulsion work for the past decades and decades. Actually, I mean, he's deep into the like quantum this and that. So he's the one that actually told me about the redshift. Yeah.
And so they have experienced this physically, or is this just theoretical, or they know that it exists? Like
The technology?
yes.
I believe that the technology not only exists, we've figured out how to play with it, but I'm not going to really get into that here. That is what we're doing at my company, though. That is the announcement. So Steve Justice was head of advanced programs at the Skunk Works, and the Skunk Works are who built, you know, the famous secret bases you hear about. Skunk Works did, you know, the U-2 spy plane, the SR-71 Blackbird, the F-117 stealth fighter, and
It's all Groom Lake out there,
all
right?
that kind of stuff. And he literally was in charge of all the advanced programs. So, you know, you got the boss and you got him. And he just finished his career over there within the past 2 months, I think it is. And he was on stage with me when we came out and said we're going to be building one of these things.
So when you say that all this technology exists, have they explained this to you, or have you seen it physically?
Oh, I haven't seen anything physically like that. I wouldn't be allowed to go anywhere if that does or doesn't exist.
So they've just explained to you that this exists, and that this is in the hands of the U.S. government.
I think no. I don't want to get into that kind of stuff, but if you don't mind.
Well, why is it that you want to not get into certain things?
Well, I don't want to I represent more than myself these days.
Right.
So I definitely have to watch what I say.
Well, who do you represent when you say you represent more than yourself?
The team that I'm with. So when you look at the people that are a part of my company, it's Undersecretary of Defense and Senior Intelligence Service.
Is there a list of these people like that we could see?
Oh, yeah. I thought you guys would have had that.
Yeah, but I mean, is there like a list where folks could see it online?
Yeah, they can go to tothestarsacademy.com and scroll down, and you'll be able to see who they all are. So
how did you get linked up with all these people?
That story might be a better way to start, because
Okay.
a lot of people don't know this part of the story, and I think you're going to find it pretty fucking odd as well. But okay, so we'll back up a couple years. So I was obviously, you know, I started the band Blink, and Blink went places, and then but we always had a weird band relationship, like most bands, and we also thought that we would never be big, so we started companies on the side, and I had a company that incubated a lot of small startups like software and apparel and hardcore skate surf companies and stuff like that. Well, I learned a lot from that, and I pulled out an entertainment startup called To the Stars. And I knew I was going to be doing kind of like science fiction franchised stories, just like Disney, but science fiction for adults. And what that means is, you know, I make a story, I title it, I brand it, and I put out the book, and I put out the merchandise, and I go make a movie, you know, and it's a vertically integrated kind of model. Well, one of the stories I knew I wanted to put out was Secret Machines, which was kind of a historical fiction, but based on real events about the UFO phenomenon. But I also knew that I knew shit that most people don't know, because I've studied it for so long, and I happen to put some pieces together that most people don't put together. So before I came out with that book, and before I came out with the plan to take that, make major motion pictures and all that kind of stuff, I knew I needed to ask permission. So I flew around to places. I can't say who they were, and they listened to my pitch, and then I got a email out of nowhere that says meet us next to the Pentagon at this day and time, and I did that. And from that,
You got an email from just a random person?
No, I just can't tell you who it's from.
Okay.
And so then I go out.
Meet you next to the Pentagon? So you just flew to the Pentagon?
I flew out to Pentagon City. Yeah. It's dude, this
Were you
gets.
freaking out?
I'll tell you when I started freaking out. There's more shit. It gets way worse. This is nothing. So that started me out near DC taking some other high level meetings, and there was somebody at a very high level that closed the door, looked me in the eye, and says, "Okay, I'm going to introduce you to somebody." And that person comes to San Diego, puts me on the phone with a general, and the general is listening to my little stump speech about what I want to do with this franchise, because I definitely didn't want to, I wasn't looking to like force disclosure, and I wasn't looking to be rogue and break secrets. I was like, look, I know what's going on here, and you guys are doing a kick-ass job, and I would have done the exact same thing should I have been the guy at the top that had to make some really hardcore decisions 70 years ago. So I want to support you. I think people are cynical because there's a vacuum. You guys can't say what you're doing. So all these people are just coming up with a bunch of bullshit to say, oh, they don't want us to know, or we can't handle it, or it's all about oil and money and all this weird shit.
But you had put these pieces together independently.
I did.
And so based on books that you read?
Yeah, people think that like places like the CIA and the DIA, all these intelligence organizations have, a monopoly on information. They don't. They get their information from the real world too. They do have access to archives of information. They do have access to some amazing, satellite data and stuff like that. But if you're smart and you take your time, you know where to look, and you find patterns, you can pretty much put together all the same shit they can, kind of, and that's what I did. And so when I pitched what I wanted to do, he said, come up and meet me tomorrow. And so I flew up to NASA, actually, NASA Ames, and had a 2-hour meeting there. And after 2 hours, that person says, he looks me in the eyes, I'm going to introduce you to someone else. And he did. And so I got on the phone with this person, and this person, go, I'm a skeptic. And then at the end of the conversation, he goes, fly out and see me. And so I did. And that's when things really started happening. So I fly out to this airport, and I sit at a table in a restaurant at the airport. No one's in there. And this gentleman sits down, and the waiter comes up. He waves off the waiter, and he looks me in the eye and says, it was the Cold War, and we found a life form. And that's when I started shitting my pants, because I know a lot about this stuff, but you always wait to talk to somebody that is one of the inside people. You always want to have...
So he sits down at a restaurant with you at the airport and tells you that they found a life form.
Yes. And
during the Cold War?
During the Cold War. And everything that they did and every decision they made at the time was because of the consciousness of the Cold War.
And why has this guy decided to meet with you at an airport?
Because the only way you meet with these people, the only way you ever would have anyone talk to you is if you can provide a service that they need. Mm-hmm. And my service was pretty interesting to them, because I said, look, you guys, you struggle with saying disclosure. You want to tell everybody everything, which I don't think everyone should know everything. And then you say they can't handle it, so don't tell them anything, And I'm like, there's a middle road there, and here's the way I would do the middle road, and it resonated with them, And so we had a pretty epic conversation for like 2 hours.
Why you? Like, why? What is it about what your message was?
Because
what your idea was that made them want to tell you some top secret shit that they've tried to keep away from the American people.
Well,
I mean, you take a guy who's like a big celebrity who's in a huge rock band like you, and you just say, hey, meet me in an airport. I'm going to tell you about a life form that we found during the Cold War, because you're famous, or because you know things?
No, because I have a service. So it's not. It sounds easy when you play it like that, but
service.
A service. Like, what can you do for them that they need help with?
And what could you do?
Communication. They don't have a way to make a movie, a book. They don't know how. Don't have a way to make documentaries. They don't have a way to go on a big show like this and communicate with young people. They don't do that, and nor should they. They look at, you got to look at what they're doing.
So they look to you for a spokesperson role?
I wouldn't say spokesperson role.
Communication role?
A communication role. It makes more sense.
So they would give some information to you, and you would get it out to people. And now, why wouldn't they do it themselves? Because they wouldn't have the same platform.
They don't have
access to the same platform that you would have.
And the other reason is people have tried to do movies and stuff like this, but none of them know. I was fortunate enough to know the core story, and most people don't.
So explain that then, if you don't mind going back. Like when you said that you were able to put things together that other people weren't. What are those things?
Essentially, it's the book Secret Machines, where you have a lot of private finance, you have some world bankers, and you have a lot of people internationally working together to figure out a plan of how to push back against something that's been coming here for a very long time, but using off the books finances and using mechanisms that we're not totally aware exist. And what people have to realize is, the UFO phenomenon isn't a phenomenon. There's the universe is fucking gigantic, and there's life everywhere. Every fucking where, and there's a lot of life that's way more advanced than we are. And just like Voyager left our solar system, a little dinky satellite from the 70s, and just like my company's going to be building, this electromagnetic craft that really can do the same thing to time that I've been telling you about. Other civilizations have that too, which means you can traverse those distances of space. And what you have to think about is what happened when we first discovered that, and what did we do about it? And there's no, you got to look at 47 in a very peculiar way. 90 days after the Roswell event, CIA was created, the Air Force was separated from the Army, the National Security Act was created, and all those things are mechanisms to start learning more and to start getting private industry off the ground.
So that had nothing to do with World War II. You think it had to do with aliens?
Oh, I absolutely think it. Well, both, because what I believe crashed at Roswell was, I believe it was German from Argentina, but it had hallmarks and technology based on alien technology. So we put out a story saying it's alien, and then we put out a story saying it's a weather balloon. But the real thing it was, we didn't want anyone to guess, and that's why we put those two things out there. And that's kind of how they do it. I think they did that with the moon. It's like, we went to the moon, and then they put out this meme kind of thing, like we didn't go to the moon, but they didn't want people really going, well, what's on the moon? That so these things are managed until they can figure it out, because you got a bunch of normal dudes in suits sitting at a big table like this, and it's their fucking responsibility to figure this thing out. And this shit is monumentally big. But back to
how would they manage this then? If these regular dudes without access to communication like you have, how have they managed to disseminate this information and sort of confuse everybody?
I think, I can tell, I don't know how they did it. I do know that they infiltrated UFO groups. That was the very first thing they did in the 50s.
Sort of like how FBI agents and undercover cops infiltrated Occupy Wall Street and pretended to be radical hippies and started fights. Yep,
they did that. They get access to what the civilians are learning, how information transfers from one group to another, and then they start deflecting all their knowledge and putting in leaks and this and that, and getting them off the main track, not because of a disdain for citizens and not because of any other reason than picture ISIS. We don't know what ISIS is. They got a nuclear bomb, and we caught a guy trying to sneak in this bomb.
Right.
Are they going to stop and come sit on your couch and tell you all about it? No. And if you're like on the radio and there's all these people going, oh my God, we're going to die, a bomb, a bomb, a bomb. They'll hold up a second. You're not going to fucking die, but we need to learn more about this, and we got to figure it out before we sit down and talk to you about it.